Pete Townshend realized early on that lasting success had to be built on original songs, just like the Beatles or the Kinks. Indeed, he was the first member of The Who to try his hand at songwriting and one of the earliest British guitarists to do so. Pete also began experimenting with guitar feedback, deliberately pressing his electric guitar up against the amp during live shows to create louder, more resonant sounds. As a student of Jim Marshall, a drummer, music teacher and shop owner, Pete had early access to Marshall's custom-made amplifiers in the early 1960s. After John Entwistle became the first to use a Marshall amp with a 4x12 cabinet, Pete didn't want to be outdone and challenged Marshall to create the first ever 8x12, simply because Marshall amps were that loud. So loud the crowd couldn't shout over the band. Still not satisfied, the Who pioneered the stacking of Marshall cabinets on top of each other, the legendary Marshall stack. Naturally, the guitar's distortion and feedback sounded bigger and better than ever. At one gig at a pub called The Railway, Pete was in the middle of his signature feedback-heavy guitar theatrics, including his windmill strums and sword-like moves, when his guitar accidentally hit the pub's low ceiling mid-solo. The crowd burst out laughing, bruising Pete's ego. He struck the ceiling again with his guitar neck, but the audience remained unimpressed. Furious, Pete decided to go all in and smashed his guitar into the amp while the feedback was still screaming. This time the crowd went wild. At the next show at the Railway, Keith Moon responded by kicking over his drum kit. From that point on, The Who had invented a live stage stunt no one had dared try before. Back when The Who was still unknown, unpaid bills from music shops kept piling up. At one point, completely broke, Pete had to rush into a familiar shop, Hint Marshall's, grab a guitar off the wall, and run. Happy 80th birthday to Pete Townshend, the greatest guitar smasher in rock history. May 19th,